What's up, guys? Orcus here, and today we got another video. Today we're gonna be doing something the opposite of one of the videos I did. We got the top 10, or my personal top 10 Star Wars cold takes. Now, you guys might have seen my Star Wars hot takes video, and that video actually did really well. It's my most viewed video on the channel, so I'm very happy for that. And I don't really think I said thanks to you. Maybe I did, actually, I can't remember, but thank you guys for watching that video, because again, my most viewed video. I honestly really didn't expect that, so thank you guys so much. And I've had some really good videos lately on NASCAR as well, so thank you guys for that. But finally, I have another Star Wars video today. I will admit it's kind of been getting harder to make Star Wars videos lately, because I've kind of run out of ideas on what to do for the Clone Wars, and really it's a really dead time for Star Wars right now. So yeah, I mean, it was good to come up with this one, because I was thinking about my video last week, or not last week, yesterday, for my Star Wars hot takes video, and how well that did. So I was like, what if I did the opposite of that? Cold takes. People, or takes that almost everyone has about Star Wars. And so it might be kind of basic, might be kind of obvious, but I think it should be still a little bit interesting, maybe some interesting ideas, and maybe you'll disagree with them. I don't know. But these are my Star Wars cold takes, what I assume a majority of Star Wars fans believe. So yeah, with that being said, let's get into it. And I got a good one to start off with. The Star Wars sequels suck. I mean, I think a lot of people agree with that. I mean, they have the fans. Like, the sequels have their fans, but yeah, I'm pretty sure a lot of people would agree with me thinking that the sequels suck. They're not good. Definitely not better than the original trilogy. Definitely not better than the prequel trilogy. And some might arguably say that they've ruined Star Wars. There's just so much wrong with them. They just miss on a lot of Star Wars ideas. I think they do get some part of it, like, they get some of it right. Like, honestly, I do think the sequels kind of feel like Star Wars, but it's just they get a lot of stuff wrong. There's a lot of stuff wrong with Star Wars. I mean, don't even get me started with Luke Skywalker. All of the original trilogy characters were just done terribly, I think. Like, they did not do much right, I will say that. The Force Awakens was a decent start, but even The Force Awakens got things wrong, honestly. Like, Han Solo was a terrible character in that movie. Had just so many questions in that movie, and a lot of it was the build up. A lot of what made that movie so good was because it was building up to the other two movies, and those two movies just ruined the build up that The Force Awakens had. So honestly, that makes Force Awakens not as good of a movie, because the other two movies ruined the build up of The Force Awakens. So it doesn't really matter. So just, it's unfortunate. But yeah, the sequels suck. I think that's a pretty fair take. A lot of people agree with that. That's the first one on the list. My next one on the list is Revenge of the Sith is the best prequel. I think a lot of people agree with this. I mean, I've seen like Star Wars polls, like, the general opinion. I mean, everyone thinks Revenge of the Sith is possibly the best Star Wars movie, but you never really hear many people talking about Attack of the Clones or The Phantom Menace being the best Star Wars movie. No, it's always Revenge of the Sith. And yeah, it's pretty easy to say why. Like, Revenge of the Sith, goated movie. So much amazing stuff happens in that movie. Really one of the most intense, dramatic, emotional Star Wars pieces of content we've had. I mean, you got Order 66, you got Padme dying, you got the fight between Anakin versus Obi-Wan, Anakin's fall. And yeah, I mean, it's really nothing more you can ask for in a movie. Revenge of the Sith is amazing. It really does outshine the other two ones. I get it. The other two prequels might have just been, build up to Revenge of the Sith, and they certainly were, because Revenge of the Sith is a great movie. But I feel like great movies, good movies, can have stuff on their own that can make them amazing movies, even if they are just build-ups to another movie. Kind of like I said with The Force Awakens, how it was a build-up to the other two movies. and in some ways did a good job. The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, I think, are good movies too. It's just they're nowhere near on the level of Revenge of the Sith. And again, maybe they didn't need to be, but I feel like perhaps, it could have been. I mean, I'm going to talk about it later, but look at Empire Strikes Back, widely regarded as perhaps the greatest movie in Star Wars, one of the greatest movies of all time, and it's the second movie in the trilogy. Like, it's before Return of the Jedi. And some people think A New Hope is like a classic, amazing Star Wars movie, better than perhaps Return of the Jedi. And that's the first movie. So, I mean, I think perhaps there could have been some things different with the prequels, the first two, that could have made them better than Revenge of the Sith. But Revenge of the Sith was just amazing. It did everything right. It was the perfect finale for the prequels. And yeah, it just way overshadowed the first two movies, in my opinion. Yeah. But still, yeah, just definitely the best sequel for sure. And a lot of people, I think, agree with that for sure, based off of what I've seen. And now we got one about Anakin. Full Potential Anakin, I think, is the strongest being in Star Wars. Perhaps maybe that's a little too much. I mean, you got the Celestials, the Mortis gods, you got Abeloth, you got the Wills. Those all might be stronger. You never know. But at the same time, we see on Mortis, Anakin was able to control both the daughter and the son. So does that mean Full Potential Anakin is stronger than the daughter and the son? It's possible. And in turn, I feel like that could make him possibly stronger than the father as well. So it might not be a stretch to say Full Potential Anakin is the strongest being possible in Star Wars. It might not be crazy to say that. Full Potential Anakin is a very strong. I can't remember. There might have been a thing, but I thought I saw somewhere that Full Potential Anakin is 200% stronger than the Emperor at peak strength. So that's definitely something to hear. Definitely interesting topic, but Full Potential Anakin is the strongest human, is the strongest Force user, could possibly overpower Luke Skywalker and Leia Skywalker if they reach their full potentials. I know that there is like confuting evidence that says that Luke and Leia could definitely be on the same level as Full Potential Anakin. I'm not sure how true that is, but I think based off of what we've seen in the lore and what's been implied, is Full Potential Anakin is possibly the strongest. So, and I think a lot of people think that too. I mean, a lot of people already think Anakin in Revenge of the Sith is already possibly the strongest being, or I guess maybe Jedi/Sith. A lot of people I've seen say that. Like, a lot of people think Anakin in Revenge of the Sith could legitimately beat Mace Windu. Some people even think he could get a one-up on the Chancellor. I don't know about all that, but yeah, it's an interesting topic. But yeah, if Anakin ever did reach his full potential, like even like 10 years from Revenge of the Sith, he could possibly be an absolute weapon. Like, yeah, it would have been crazy to see Anakin at his full potential. And yeah, it would definitely, I think, mean he is the strongest being that could have existed for sure. Anakin, hey, I had some, smack talk on him in my hot takes video, but I'm gonna give him some credit here. He was definitely could have been the strongest being in the galaxy, but then Revenge of the Sith happened and Obi-Wan did all that and just never came to be. But it is what it is. And another take I have, this was a little bit interesting. The Jedi were flawed, but overall we're still good and we're still the light in the universe. I mean, I've seen people say that the Jedi were legitimately evil and that they needed to be destroyed and that they were just like a-holes and stuff like that. I disagree with that. I do think, some people, even people that might say that, I think maybe they're just being a little bit over dramatic and emotional and they don't really think that. Because, I mean, if we look at the Jedi in certain situations, they're definitely the good guys. I mean, come on. It's the Jedi versus the Sith. George Lucas made them out to be the good guys from the beginning. We see them in the original trilogy, like Yoda and Obi-Wan. I mean, we see that, they come into conflict with Luke about some things, but overall, they're still the good guys. Like, they're trying to destroy the Sith, the evil in the galaxy. And really, the only dispute they have with Luke is that Darth Vader's gone. He can't be redeemed. He's too evil, and he won't be turned back. And they want Luke not to try to redeem him, but that Luke needs to destroy him. But we see that Luke was actually right, believes in him from the beginning. Family is important. And that's one thing the Jedi were wrong about, is that, Jedi could not form attachments to people. They couldn't have wives, they couldn't have children, they couldn't have a family, stuff like that. They were taken away from their family. And, in a way, you could possibly see where they're coming from. I mean, we saw what happens to Anakin with his relationship. And we see even later in Legends, I just read up about this, but Luke kind of turns to the dark side when Mara Jade, his wife, dies. Spoilers, sorry if you haven't, seen all that and didn't want that to be spoiled, but it's in Legends, so, I mean, who knows what they'll do with canon. Maybe they will bring Mara Jade in canon, we'll see, but, I mean, the Jedi were flawed, and one of them was about their relationships with other people, but they were still good. They still stood for the good side. I mean, I don't think that's a crazy take, honestly. And they still cared for people. They still had compassion for others. They did the right thing, but the dark side enveloped them during the Clone Wars, and other times they were not perfect beings, that's for sure. But ultimately, they did serve the light side for a lot of their time. And sometimes they just went the wrong way sometimes, because of their own, ego and stuff like that. But overall, they were still good people. And I don't think that's a hot take. I'm pretty sure a lot of people would agree on that. And, if you don't agree on that, I encourage you to read up on, George Lucas and the Jedi and his thoughts about them. Because, I mean, I don't know what to tell you if you think the Jedi are actually evil. So, yeah. All right, next hot take. Lightsaber fights are awesome. I mean, let's get that out of the way. This is probably the easiest cold take I have on here, is that lightsaber fights are awesome. I mean, who watches Star Wars not for the lightsaber duels? Like, what if you don't like lightsaber duels, why are you even watching Star Wars? Like, I feel like that's one of the main reasons people watch Star Wars. And I get it, there's a lot of other stuff. I mean, Andor doesn't have any lightsaber fights. Ooh, gee. But even other projects like Solo, Rogue One, there's a lot of projects that don't have lightsaber duels, but, a lot of them do. I mean, all 9 films. I mean, you got the Clone Wars, you got Rebels, even The Mandalorian, which might not even, The Mandalorian doesn't have direct lightsaber duels with another lightsaber, but we see Mandalorian versus what's his name, Moff Gideon with the Darksaber. We see Ahsoka versus Morgan with the spear. We see lightsaber fights in The Mandalorian as well. So, I mean, lightsaber fights are definitely one of the best aspects in Star Wars. The fighting is, just in general, it's amazing. Like, lightsaber fights, it's almost, you could say, what got Star Wars to be so iconic. I mean, just even think back to the originals. Luke versus Vader on Cloud City, Luke versus Vader on the Death Star. Like, I mean, even Kenobi versus Vader in A New Hope. I mean, as, kind of bad as that fight is to see nowadays, that got people hyped back in the 70s and 80s. Like, even though they're not the best choreographed, people still thought that stuff was so cool. And now to see what we have nowadays, I mean, the animated lightsaber fights, Anakin versus Obi-Wan, it's all great stuff. So, yeah. And again, it's great. And that's, I mean, I can't believe I'm going to give Acolyte some credit right now, but even the Acolyte had lightsaber fights and were very well choreographed. So even they understood that lightsaber fights were an amazing part of Star Wars and something that a lot of people like to see. So yeah, lightsaber fights are awesome. One of the best things in Star Wars, and kind of perhaps probably why a lot of people got into Star Wars in the first place, if we're being honest. So yeah, lightsaber fights, awesome. All right. Another cold take, this might not be the same for everyone, but I think Luke, Yoda, and Kenobi are all top 5 characters in Star Wars. This actually might not be too much of a cold take. A lot of people might not agree with this, but I think every Star Wars fan would have at least 1 or 2 of these characters in their top 5. I mean, Luke Skywalker, the main character of the original trilogy. Obi-Wan Kenobi is present for all 6 films. Notice how I said all 6 films? Because, the sequels. But Kenobi, he's in episodes 1 through 6. Yoda, he's in episodes 1 through 3 and then 5 and 6. Like, these are the main characters. Really, basically the main characters. And I think most people would have at least 2 of these characters in their top 5. Or, at least 1. Like, if you don't have at least 1 of these characters in your top 5 favorite Star Wars characters, I'm not really sure what kind of Star Wars you're watching. But yeah, this I feel like isn't that much of a cold take. Maybe not all 3 in the top 5, but me personally, I have all 3 of these characters in the top 5. Maybe most people actually don't. I'm not sure, but I don't think this is a hot take to say that at least 1 or 2 of these characters are in everyone's top 5 favorite Star Wars characters. I don't think that's a cold take for sure. And yeah, these 3 are definitely solidified in my favorite characters. And, these might not even be 4 or 5, These are perhaps my favorite characters, like 1 through 3. It's definitely a debate for sure for me personally. And yeah, I mean, they're the OGs, the main characters, so why wouldn't they be in most people's top 5 favorite characters? So it makes perfect sense, and that's why I think it's a cold take for sure. Then we got my 9th cold take. Either Revenge of the Sith or The Empire Strikes Back is the best Star Wars movie. I feel like this is a pretty common take. A lot of people would seem to think this way. Revenge of the Sith, the best original, or not the best original. Revenge of the Sith, the best prequel movie. The Empire Strikes Back, widely regarded as the best original trilogy movie. So when you put those 2 together, it's a big debate. Some people say Return of the Jedi. Some people say The Empire Strikes Back. But a lot of people, I think, do agree that either one of these 2 is the best Star Wars movie. There are some oddballs out there. I've seen people say that A New Hope's the best. Some people do say Return of the Jedi is the best because of the finale and all that. But personally, I think a lot of people would agree. I would say majority of fans, over 50% of Star Wars fans, would say either Revenge of the Sith or The Empire Strikes Back is the best Star Wars movie. Definitely, I think, a cold take, and it makes sense. I mean, The Empire Strikes Back, absolutely goated movie. I mean, from Cloud City, Anakin versus Darth Vader, Luke's training with Yoda, Leia and Han's relationship. I mean, it's just iconic. All the character interactions, the lightsaber fight at the end, the training, even Hoth at the beginning. It's all just great stuff. And it just molds together into an amazing movie. And really, there can't be enough said about Revenge of the Sith. Just both amazing Star Wars movies. And, if these 2 movies didn't exist, it's a pretty good likelihood that there's not as many Star Wars fans as there are today. Like, if Revenge of the Sith or The Empire Strikes Back wasn't the best Star Wars movie, I feel like there wouldn't be as many fans as there are today, because these 2 movies are not just some of the best Star Wars projects, media, and movies, but they're some of the best movies of all time. And I don't think that's up for debate, especially The Empire Strikes Back, because a lot of people want to be critical on the prequels, might not put it up there as high, but even those people would probably say The Empire Strikes Back is one of the best Star Wars movies, and if not, one of the best movies. So yeah, that's definitely not a hot take to say, even if people don't think Revenge of the Sith is one of the best Star Wars movies, they probably think The Empire Strikes Back is. and vice versa. Maybe some of the younger generation don't, like the original trilogy as well. They would probably think Revenge of the Sith is the best. And I see a lot of people, on the YouTube polls. YouTube's kind of for a younger audience. A lot of people pick Revenge of the Sith. So the younger generation, they might say Revenge of the Sith. More older generation, Empire Strikes Back. So yeah. And then rounding out the top 10, this is also a pretty easy layup, cold take. But Star Wars is the top franchise of all time, if not the top franchise of all time. If you're a Star Wars fan, you might think that Star Wars is the top franchise, like myself. I think Star Wars is the top franchise of all time. I mean, you got things like Pokemon, not even like movies. Pokemon, you got shows that have branched off to make other shows, stuff like that. But yeah, I think Star Wars is a top franchise of all time. I mean, just think of how much stuff has come from it. Like, Marvel kind of has matched Star Wars, I think, with all their movies and shows now, but it didn't used to be that way. Star Wars used to be the big top dog above everything else. Like, and I'm pretty sure it's actually like pretty close with Pokemon. I'm not sure, but I'm not entirely sure about this, but I'm pretty sure like Star Wars actually beat out Pokemon for popularity at one point. That might not be true anymore, but Star Wars really was and still is one of the big franchises of all time. And again, like I said, if you're a Star Wars fan, you probably do think Star Wars is the top franchise of all time. I definitely agree with that, even though I do like Pokemon for sure. I like Pokemon. I like Marvel. I'm a casual Marvel fan, so maybe not as much. But a lot of other things too, like, I mean, would you consider sports franchises? I don't know. Because, yeah, maybe if you consider sports franchises, then maybe not. I do like NASCAR, as you guys know, but Star Wars is a top franchise of all time. And if you're a Star Wars fan, a big Star Wars fan, I think you probably agree with that. And even if you're not a Star Wars fan, you would have to agree that Star Wars is one of the top franchises of all time. Not just off of popularity, but just based off how big it is in general, really. Like, it's up there for sure. Really is. And Star Wars, it's changed my life. It's changed a lot of other people's lives, and it will never be forgotten in history. I can guarantee that. Even if it falls to the ground, like in the next year, it might not be as popular as it used to be. Like, it's not getting the money as it used to get when George Lucas was in charge of it, but it really still is up there. But yeah. And I'm happy I am a fan. I'm happy that I'm such a fan that I've come to make videos about it. Even though I don't, it's really turned into a once a month thing where I make videos, except, when shows come out and stuff. But, I still really like Star Wars. So, I really do like it. And, if you're watching this, you probably like it too. And, Star Wars has become, some of my most viewed videos. Like, my every episode ranked for the Clone Wars, my season, every episodes, and of course my hot take video, my show reviews, episode reviews, all that. It's very popular. And Star Wars even still gets a lot of views on YouTube, even though it might not get views the way it used to be. Star Wars used to get a lot of views based off of lore videos, off of shows and stuff, but now it seems like you kind of have to dramatize Star Wars. It has to be big news headlines to get views on YouTube, and it didn't used to always be like that. It used to be like theory videos, like what if videos, lore videos. That's what used to get the views, but it seems it's not like that anymore. So it's unfortunate, but I'm excited for the future of Star Wars, even though it might not be bright. But hopefully it gets back to where it used to be, and hopefully its popularity grows again for a good reason. But with that being said, that's all my cold takes, my 10 cold takes for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and yeah, we'll see you in the next one.